Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy and whether he should go visit President Zelenskyy in Ukraine. All right, so we're asking this question for one reason, and the reason why is good googly mooglies. Chris Christie, who is also a Republican candidate for president, a 2024 U.S. presidential Republican contender for, to be president, right? Yeah, contender, right? And Chris Christie is going to see President Zelenskyy, okay, in Ukraine. Should Chris Christie go see President Zelenskyy? He should not. He should absolutely not be going to see President Zelenskyy, right? And the reason why is Chris Christie can't bring anything real to help President Zelenskyy. Chris Christie is going so that President Zelenskyy can help him, right? To make people think that Chris Christie is relevant and should be included in global discussions. Chris Christie has no business being in global discussions, and I don't think he should be going to see President Zelenskyy. However, he is, right? And President Zelenskyy is going to receive him, right? So what that means is you get this situation where, so since that is happening, right, we have this situation where why would President Zelenskyy receive Chris Christie? Because Chris Christie has literally nothing to offer in help. Chris Christie cannot aid. He cannot in any way, in any functional way, aid President Zelenskyy, right? He can't give him arms. He can't really give him money, right? The one thing he can do is he can make another story, right? And he can bring the eyeballs of the press to the plight of Ukraine. That actually is valuable, right? Now, I think anybody with a significant name could do that, and the reality is, I really think this is, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, if you're receiving, and here's the kicker. Here's the whole of this video. Before Chris Christie went to see President Zelenskyy, I would have said no. Vivek has no business going to see President Zelenskyy, because the only people who should be visiting President Zelenskyy are people who can help him, right? Like, bring him arms, bring him money, bring him something real, right? Bring him boots on the ground, right? Like, or trigger the ability for Americans to put boots on the ground in Ukraine, help Ukraine defeat Russia, take all of Russia's land and split it between America and the Ukraine, right? Like, and make it so that Russia doesn't exist anymore, and it's simply, it's new states for America and new land for Ukraine, right? That's real, right? Chris Christie can't do that, and Vivek Ramaswamy can't do that, right? But the reality is, if President Zelenskyy is receiving Chris Christie, then what he really wants is he wants Ukraine to remain in the news, right? And that means that buys goodwill from the American people. When the American people see the atrocities that President Vladimir Putin is doing, they feel terrible and they want to do something, right? And they are like, oh yeah, billions more for Ukraine. Bet, all in. Let's go, right? And so that's the issue is, if Chris Christie can go there and bring eyeballs, Vivek Ramaswamy can actually go there and actually have a real discussion with President Zelenskyy, have some back and forth, give some Zelenskyy some ideas, give him some encouragement, right? Chris Christie cannot do anything that Vivek Ramaswamy cannot do better, right? And the other issue is, in many ways, there are practical business concerns around the Ukraine war. And from that perspective, Vivek Ramaswamy is a successful businessman and a successful technologist, and could actually give him some genuinely good ideas, and I think some well-needed encouragement. So the reality is, when you see a situation where Chris Christie is visiting President Zelenskyy, one of the most useless, diplomatic voyages that's ever been undertaken, at that point it opens the gate and says, okay, if Chris Christie can do this, then yes, Vivek Ramaswamy should do this. And the reality is, let's not pretend, right? As long as Zelensky's getting something, which at this point is media eyeballs, then that's enough to accept mistake. A presidential candidate needs to be able to command the media, and this is very much what one of the reasons why Donald Trump is so powerful and why he has done so very well in all this. Is he built a situation where he really he built a situation where he really has delivered in that vein, and made it made a real situation where he is very viably useful, right? In bringing that. So I do think Vivek Ramaswamy should go, and it is going to help him, and it's going to be beneficial for both sides, because it will make people see, okay, Vivek Ramaswamy should be included in global talks.